Hello, welcome back. And I thought today we would look how Lowestoft Town Council deal with planning applications that cross their desks. Well, the other day Wendy suggested that I actually didn't know much about planning. So you'll have to draw your own conclusions from this. This one's typical.
Well, there's a couple of other things that don't really make sense. That on the application, it says, is the land contaminated? No. Now, given where it is, I think to say that is questionable. And also, is there a flood risk? No. Given where it is also questionable.
On the planning portal is this map. Cliffs on the left, sea on the right, and you can see where it considers the low ground to be, then the rising ground, and then the high ground. And all the documents say it's very low flood risk. Wendy, of course, doesn't agree because she's an expert at planning.
I don't think we have enough information at the moment, Andy, to approve this, but I'm conscious I haven't actually seen the modifications in terms of we're not going to knock this down.
They're on the portal.
Yeah. Well, no, I did look at the portal. Well, so could we see, because I mean, I know that a local historian, Historic England, didn't like the original one, which we recommended refusal of, but I couldn't see something that was new that said that actually changed anything.
Well, if you read the top consultees.
All right, stop being sarky. Can I just see it?
Wendy, you criticise other members of this committee quite regularly.
Oh,
okay, I'm not criticising you. I'm just saying.
Well, that's a drawing. Can I see
saying,
the changes in the design, please?
I'm just saying. Right, revised drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, consultee comment above acknowledges what has changed.
They then move on to an application for an illuminated sign on the new gambling place in London Road North. They actually objected originally to this. Gambling is an emotive subject, and I really can't see many people thinking that gambling is a good idea. But the original application that they objected to was approved by East Suffolk Council, who are the local planning authority. Since then, they've looked at the illuminated sign on the front of the premises, and Lowestoft Town Council are now deliberating whether they should approve or recommend approval, I believe is the correct term, whether they should recommend approval or whether they should object. Or, like some of the other interested parties do, say nothing. Now, Councillor Pearce has actually got the right idea on this one. He knows the rules, he knows the limits of the power. Sadly, Councillor Brooks doesn't.
This is, oh, sorry. I mean, I thought this was the shop.
This is the former Burton's one.
Oh, yeah.
So what are people's thoughts on this one?
Well,
They've approved it. East Suffolk Council approved this. Why are they coming back to it?
yeah, and they've reconsulted.
Andy?
So basically, the comments I made were, right, we opposed the original planning application,
Yeah.
okay, and our objections to that stand, but that's been approved. This is just an application for illuminated consent, and so we can only consider that, whatever we think of the original application. So what we need to consider is whether that redesign addresses our concerns about the original signage not being in keeping with the area. And if it does, if we don't feel that we can object any further on the grounds of not in keeping in the area, and our only concerns are the original application which we opposed but which the LPA has approved, is whether we, despite our misgivings about the application, recommend approval of the signage because we have no other material planning considerations that we can object to, and whether we feel that there are any other material planning considerations apply, or whether we just do not pass comment, because whilst we don't feel that we have any material grounds for objection, we don't want any approval to signify our consent to the original application. And I have no strong opinions I'm loath to approve, but if they have done all they can to mitigate the obtrusiveness of the original design, that we can't object on that basis, and we have no material planning considerations left to object on. To me, it's either recommend approval based on the law or make no comment.
Wendy?
Right. Obviously, being inundated with adult gaming plans for London Road North makes this a little tricky. What occurs to me in this application, and also in the application for the next one we're about to consider, is that the recent very weak but beginning to accept that gambling is actually a major issue for adults and younger people as well. There is absolutely nothing on this sign that actually shows that they are part of Gambling Aware, which is, I know it's Gambling Aware is run by the gambling industry, but there is no signage that says anything about you beware, be careful. It's all about enticing people in to ruin their lives, as far as I can see. So basically, I can't support approval because gambling is so destructive to people's lives. And weak as the legislation is, there is some that says it should, the negative impacts of gambling should be highlighted. And this doesn't highlight it at all. It just says Admiral Casino. It's just flashing away. So I won't be supporting it in any shape or form.
Andy?
Yeah, can I just reiterate that this one is for illuminated
I know.
signage and the next one is a full planning application.
Yeah.
So the considerations are different.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah, all right, Wendy, you've
It's
just had your say.
application.
Wendy,
Please.
please let me finish. So the original one, whatever we think of it, and we all objected,
Yeah.
the LPA has ignored us and approved it.
Yeah.
So we are not revisiting that planning application here. We have to consider the illuminated advertisement consent within the law.
Yeah.
So can we oppose it on an application that's been approved? And if so, on what grounds? Because the only grounds we opposed for it previously was it's not in keeping with the area.
Yeah.
So if you want to find a material planning consideration, make sure that you can back it up and that it's lawful. Is it light pollution? Is the illumination seriously going to cause light pollution? We objected on whether it was in keeping with the area the first time round. They have proposed a redesign which the planning officer feels is less obtrusive. Do we agree with that, or do we still believe it's not in keeping with the area? That is the issue to be decided, not whether we like gambling, not whether we like the original application, whether we have grounds on which we can legitimately oppose the illuminated design application.
Do we have to have a second for no
can
comment?
I just say that
I'll
they've
second.
said like it doesn't have any impact on Suffolk highways. Well, Suffolk highways actually, given that the area is pedestrianised, of course it's not going to have any impact because it's not actually on the road.
No, well, exactly. So it's not a material consideration, is it?
So it is. No. My light pollution is to do with wildlife and all the rest of it. It's not to do with car drivers.
Okay.
So-
But that's a highways authority. So they've acted within their brief.
Yes.
So if you believe the light pollution is a disturbance to wildlife, on what grounds do you make that claim? What wildlife?
Well, wildlife, there's actually quite a lot of wildlife in the town centre, but also to do with just general light pollution, that not just does it kind of change the environment, it's also environmentally wasteful.
So, yeah, I agree with that. I'll second Andy's proposal, but the problem with it is if we refuse it on that grounds, then other retailers down there will say, or that person may say, well, hang on a minute, you're not letting us have an illuminated sign, but Taco and other chains down there have already got some. That's the problem, but I'll second. And
Can I just clarify? I haven't proposed approval.
no, comment.
So I posed a question.
Yeah.
If we feel that they have mitigated our original objection on the signage, i.e. that it's not in keeping with the area, do we then propose approval on the basis that whatever we think of the development, there are no material planning considerations on which we can legitimately oppose, or do we make no comment because we don't feel able to either approve or oppose?
Was that a proposal for no comment? Then?
And yeah, I don't feel in all conscience that I can find a material planning consideration to oppose this on, but I can't support approval either because of what I feel about the original development in that part of town. So on that basis, I would rather make no comment because I do not want any proposal to approve the signage by us to be seen as approving the development that we opposed.
Right. Elise?
I was just saying, when you're saying about light pollution, the lights are on down there all night long, so it's not going to make the slightest bit difference.
Right.
I'm not saying we should have more gambling places. I'm just saying with the light up.
Right, so we've got a proposal and a second. Final point.
No, I don't know that Elise really has actually seconded Andy's proposal. Well, never mind.
No,
It's a different point she's made. Can we make in our comments that as we didn't approve the original application, that, I mean, I will second Andy's proposal of no comment. If, no, she said it doesn't make any difference, which is not exactly what you said.
Question has seconded.
Right.
Well, here's the last bit for this episode. How do you tell when a property is in a certain zone? Well, you could look at the map, or you could get up in the room and you could wander about and you can actually have the officials explain to you where the roads are. Is it just me, but you would rather assume that people can read a street map?
Whatever it's called.
Yeah.
You've got London Road South behind it.
Mhm.
This is on London Road South.
Yeah.
And
But if
London
you-
Road South is a flat saturation zone.
If you look, the line, okay,
All right.
only includes part of London Road South. If it's north of there, it's not in the flat saturation zone. So that's what we need to establish.
Yeah.
If it's north of that line or not.
Where arrow is?
Let me see if I can.
North is taking you towards Bastille Bridge, isn't it?
Cliff Road, Alan.
Cliff Road.
Yeah.
So-
It's north of that.
Right. Okay.
So, Sarah, this is London Road South.
Yes.
So it comes up to Cliff Road.
Yes.
Yeah?
So if it's north of where it says DW,
Yeah, that's.
but it's
it.
not in the flat saturation. No, it's not.
Oh, but this bit is.
Yes.
Okay.
You see, it's a dark orange line that sort of like a shape. Yeah. So anything north of DW or PW, whatever it says, that piece of London Road South is not in the flat saturation zone.
So it is.
Well, I think, given that, hang on. I'm trying to think where Cooks is. Well, Claremont,
Alan said it's north of Cliff Road. Do you want me to look on Google Earth for you?
It's up there somewhere.
Near Claremont Road.
it is, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
kind of, it's in that little area
Yeah.
there.
It's
So
up- it's-
that
it's
little bit
past
isn't
Lawn
in
Park.
the flat.
It's
I
north
find
of
it
Lawn Park Road.
extraordinary.
It's north of Lawn Park Road. It's about here.
Yeah. See, I'm getting confused because Cleveland Road is north of where Cooks is. But
Cleveland
it's-
Road's got its own separate one, hasn't it? I believe. I go back. Oh,
Well, I think all of that, I think it went up to,
Wendy. Mike.
I think it extended further than Cleveland Road.
Are you wanting to come in, Alan?
Why don't they just say what roads and house numbers are in
You
it?
can't, because
what I was trying to point out is that Cleveland Road wouldn't have been drawn on the original plan I was showing you because it's got its own policy map, which I'm now displaying for you.
Right.
So you are correct to say Cleveland Road is in the flat saturation zone, but you wouldn't have spotted it on the first map I was showing you because it's got its own policy map with Windsor Road and Grosvenor Road.
So Chair, that says. Oh, if it's not in the flat saturation zone, which I assume we've just discovered it isn't, I'll propose to accept.
okay. We get a seconder for
Alan's proposal?
All I've got to say really is thank goodness for the officials, because the people in that meeting had no idea whatsoever where anything was. North, south, east, west, not a clue. Anyway, that's where my patience has run out today, so I'll leave you with that one. This is really just to say to some of the councillors, you know what you're talking about, and to say to some of the other councillors, you haven't got a clue and you're in charge. Anyway, judge yourselves. What you see is what happened. See you on the next video. Look after yourselves.